broke the big lock hanging on the door and stepped inside the house. The moment the metal snapped, we felt something shift in the air, heavy, stale, almost alive. A rotten smell made us almost vomit, creeping into our lungs like the breath of something long dead. Bloodstains were all over the walls and floor, smudged in trails as if something had been dragged or had crawled. After we stepped into the kitchen, the silence pressed down on us. Our blood ran cold. What we saw was inhuman. My name is Rahman, and I live in a peaceful little town where people know each other by name, where every house holds memories, and every neighbor is like family. For years, our area was calm, warm, quiet. Nothing strange ever happened here. Nothing that could prepare us for what I'm about to share. What I witnessed, what we witnessed, still haunts me every single night. It all started with a family that had lived here for decades. A good family. A respected family. Everyone loved them. Everyone trusted them, and they trusted us too. One day, they announced they were leaving for America to live with their son. They said they would rent their house while they were gone. They wanted a trustworthy person to stay there, but they couldn't find anyone suitable in time. So when the day of their flight finally arrived, they had no choice. They handed the responsibility to a broker. None of us thought anything strange about it. Renting through a broker is normal, but what entered that house, what the broker brought into our neighborhood, it wasn't normal. It wasn't human. The broker rented the house to a new family. They arrived silently, almost like shadows slipping into the building. They didn't bring much stuff. No fridge, no TV, no furniture. Just a few necessary items. It was odd, very odd, but people can be simple. Some live without much, right? But then something else began to feel off. They didn't talk to anyone, not even a smile. When neighbors greeted them, they didn't respond. Not a nod. Nothing. A few women from nearby houses even went to welcome them with sweets and food, as is our tradition. They knocked politely, waited, knocked again. No one opened the door, not even to accept food. At first we thought maybe they're too busy settling down, maybe shy, but the silence felt wrong, too heavy. Only the men of the house came out sometimes. They wouldn't talk. They wouldn't look at anyone. They walked fast, heads down, as if they didn't belong with us or didn't want to be seen by us. Weeks passed like that, until one day I saw something. I was at a restaurant with a friend when I saw two men from that family sitting at a corner table with two women. They were whispering, talking quietly, acting strangely suspicious. The men kept looking around, watching every entrance, every person, as if they were conducting some secret business. Then, suddenly, the girls pulled out a thick bundle of money and slid it across the table. Thick, heavy, like thousands of taka. My eyes widened, but I didn't approach them. I didn't even move. I just sat there watching, confused, unsettled. My heart pounded with questions. Later that evening, I discussed what I saw with some of the neighbors. Turns out, I wasn't the first one who felt something dark around that family. People in the area were already worried. And then, something even stranger happened. One day, we saw a man from that house taking a goat inside the house, a live goat, on a leash, into that small building. At first, I didn't think too much. Maybe he had a farm somewhere else. Maybe it was for Eid Qurbani, but it wasn't Eid season. And an old neighbor, Grandpa Karim, a man who has seen enough of life to recognize danger when he feels it, looked at the goat and whispered, "Who takes a goat into a house? If they had a farm, they'd take it there, not inside their living room." His voice carried a kind of fear I can't explain. Something cold spread across my skin. That's when the anxiety started. That's when the aura began. People felt uncomfortable passing near that house. There was a dark presence, like an evil aura suffocating the area. Even children stopped playing near the gate. Dogs barked at the walls at night. Cats refused to go close. A kind of invisible heaviness hung over the whole street. Soon after, the neighbors noticed something else. That family, unlike every other house, never gave their trash to the trash collector. They always took it somewhere far away themselves. Every night. Nobody knew where. Nobody knew why. And that question burned inside our minds. What's in their trash that no one should see? Finally, I called the owner of the house. I told him everything, and he was shocked. He said, "I don't know who is living there. I gave the responsibility to a broker, but I will contact him." He promised to ask the broker about the tenants. A few days later, the truth arrived. Unexpected, terrifying. A neighbor, while passing near the area where the suspicious family dumped their trash, saw something that froze his soul. Inside their garbage pile were many rotten goat heads. Not one, not two. Many. Rotting, decaying, covered in dried blood, stinking so horribly the neighbor nearly vomited. He rushed back into the neighborhood, terrified, screaming for everyone to gather. When we heard about the goat heads, something broke inside the community. The fear turned into anger, and that anger turned into action. The elders called a meeting that same evening. We decided to confront them, face to face. So the next day, a large group of us, including elders, youths, and respected members of the community, walked together to that house. We weren't armed, but our hearts were pounding. We knocked. We knocked harder. We shouted. We waited. No response. Suddenly, after minutes of silence, a woman's voice came from inside. She said, "There are no men in the house right now. I cannot show myself in front of men." She claimed she was a Muslim woman, and because of modesty, she couldn't open the door to strange men. We understood, but we also knew she was lying. The men were inside. We could feel it. Still, to avoid disrespect and escalation, we replied calmly, "We will give you time. Tell the men to attend the committee meeting tomorrow evening." She agreed. She said, "Okay, they will go." Later that night, the owner of the house called me again. He said, "I talked to the broker. He said he doesn't know them. That family needed a house, and he just gave them the house. They pay the rent without delay to my cousin, and he sends me the money. But I took a photo of their NID and bank details. If they are making people uncomfortable, I will tell them to leave the house." I told him we would decide after the meeting. He hung up. Then came the evening of the long-awaited meeting. We gathered in the community field. We waited and waited. For hours. No one came. Not a single member of the suspicious family. Our fear turned into rage. A whole group of us walked toward the house again, this time determined to get answers. When we reached the gate, we saw something that made our stomachs drop. There was a big lock hanging on the door. They were gone, vanished, disappeared in the night. We didn't waste a moment. We broke the lock and entered the house. What we saw inside haunts my dreams even now. A rotten, bloody smell swallowed the entire space, the kind of smell that seeps into your bones. In the kitchen, goat meat was spread everywhere, decomposing, on the floor, on the table, even smeared across the walls. And then we saw the circles, black magic circles drawn on the floor, each with a goat head placed at the center. Most horrifyingly, it was the symbol of Baal. Who was Baal? Baal was an ancient demon god worshipped thousands of years ago in the Middle East. His followers believed he gave power, wealth, and influence, but in return, he demanded blood. Dark blood. Children were sacrificed in his name. Animals were butchered alive. Brutal rituals, screaming, fire pits, and black chants filled his ceremonies. Worshippers believed Baal could manipulate fate, curse enemies, and twist reality itself. They carved his symbol onto stones, walls, and sacrificial tables. Those rituals were so terrifying that kings banned them. Whole civilizations fought to erase Baal's existence. But his worship continued in secret, underground, hidden in forests, deserts, and abandoned places. And now Baal's followers were here, in our town, inside our neighbor's house. Back inside the house, we continued searching. We found rotten blood smeared across the floors. We saw dolls made from fabric, each one shaped like a human. Some of them hung from the ceiling with ropes around their necks. Fashidawa. Some had cross marks on their belly, head, or limbs. Then we saw the wall. There were hooks hammered into the wall, each hook holding rotten meat dried and blackened. The smell was unbearable. But the worst discovery was still waiting. Inside a drawer, we found a diary, a thick, old notebook. Inside were names, many people's names, written one after another. Next to each name, an amount was written, 5,000ers, 7,000, tens and dollars. And next to the amount, two chilling words, "Job done." That meant only one thing. They performed black magic on real people for money. They cursed people. They destroyed lives. They took payment to ruin others. The room suddenly felt colder. We were all frozen in fear, standing inside a house that had become a ritual ground for something unspeakable. After we escaped the house, the owner's cousin came. He washed the whole place, scrubbed every wall, removed every sign of that horror. He even called an imam to purify the house, recite Quran, and cleanse it spiritually. The house became clean again, normal again. But the people who lived there, the ones who performed those rituals, the worshippers of Baal, they didn't vanish. They simply moved to another town, another neighborhood, another innocent place that doesn't know what's coming. They are still out there, performing rituals, killing goats, maybe even killing people, all for money. And no one knows who their next target will be. The owner tried looking into their bank details and NID to find those people, but everything was fake. All right, guys, the horror ends here for tonight. There will be more terrifying experiences on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Share it with your horror nerd friends. If you've experienced something paranormal, you can email your story to the address in the description. See you in the next video. Stay safe until then, if you can.